Dear students, let us start the discussion on 05th December 2016 newspaper. The first article is about demonetizer's dilemma. The cost of cash is very high for India. What does that mean? The cost of transactions, the cost of security or to hold the currency, and the cost of loss or tax losses to the government, these are very high. There is no doubt that India has to move towards a cashless economy or a digital economy. In this context, there are two important factors very crucial for a country to transform into digital economy. The first one is availability of digital infrastructure. The second one is trust in doing such a transaction online. Because when you have the cash and you are transferring something through your hand, you enjoy that confidence in doing a transaction. On the other hand, in the digital economy, there is a transfer which is virtual. And when there is no physical transfer of currencies happening, building that psychological trust in the mind of the people is very difficult, or it is a tough task to achieve. Let us talk about Amazon and Flipkart. Initially, Amazon has come to India, but it did not succeed. The reason is it did not allow for delivery on cash or cash on delivery, sorry. But Flipkart's minor change to bring in cash on delivery has created fortunes for the same. And later, Amazon also has followed the trick. So, in this context, the cash is playing an important role with regard to the psychological mindset of Indians. And demonetization, can it hit this psychological mindset is the first question. The second is, without digital infrastructure, going for demonetization is like placing in a cart before the horse. It means that in Singapore, South Korea, and even in the European Union, the demonetization has happened. First, the digital infrastructure was developed and convenience of the transaction was prepared. Then the demonetization has boosted that particular exercise. In India, if you take, the digital divide is very wide. I always tell to the student, the digital divide leads to democratic divide and also opportunity divide in the country. So in this case, the rural-urban divides, gender divides, poor-rich divide, the class divide, everything getting accentuated because of the digital divide. If you take women, only 17% of the women are using the smartphones. And total number of the phones which are there in India, only 30% are the smartphones. So in this context, as the smartphone is the new vehicle for the digital payments, how can India become completely digital is a major question. So in this context, digital preparedness of the country, addressing the digital divide, it is a crucial requirement before shifting country towards the cashless economy. So you can connect this with Digital India and the recent initiatives of the government, National Optical Fiber Network, all these things you can talk about. Now, Network Readiness Index is another thing. The rank of India in Network Readiness Index, it shows that how digitally divided our society is. The limits of anger. Remember that anger is purely an emotion. Strategies cannot be based on anger. So in this context, Indian strategy towards the Pakistan shall have consistency and innovativeness in this. Normally, elimination of the Pakistan with regard to the terror and branding it as a terror state will not do much good to this part of the region. So in this context, recently in the Heart of Asia conference, Indian Prime Minister and Afghan President, they have directly attacked the Pakistan. So the disengagement or engagement with the Pakistan, they shall go through a properly laid out strategy with understanding of the future implications. Now if you see the Art of Asia conference, immediately after the criticism by the President and Prime Minister, the Russia has reacted negatively to it. It is too harsh a criticism, that is what the Russian delegation has spoken about it. So in this context, any criticism, it has to be well laid out against Pakistan. A cutting edge. So it talks about RBI's dilemmas in the post-demonetization. So the first dilemma is the deposits with the banks are increasing. If the banks have to pay back those deposits, they also shall send that money outside for lending. So in this case, if the money has to be lent, the interest rates are supposed to be low. So the repo rates, etc., these have to come down in the new monetary policy that is going to be announced. At the same time, if you take United States of America, the monetary policy is going to revise the interest rates in an upward direction. The interest rates are bound to increase in the United States, simply said. So in this case, there will be a shift of the capital from India towards the United States. So the flight of capital is going to happen. So how to address this dilemma is the major question. On the other hand, as of now, as the money is not available with the people in the banking system, it's a small solace to the RBI that because of the low money in the system, whatever the monetary policy easing it does, it will not be immediately transferred to the economy. But however, this dilemma needs a careful attention with regard to taking the steps to suck out the excessive liquidity that is available with the banks and making the monetary policy to suit to the global situation. Now, notes for a cashless economy. This article by Venkaya Naidu, it talks about the intentions of demonetization, and it also talks about it is not a sudden step which the government has initiated. Now, the demonetization has certain objectives to do away with the counterfeit currency, to move towards the digital economy, and then to stop the terror financing, and also to fight the corruption. So, the NDA government has come to power based on the premise of a clean governance. In this context, fighting the black money is one of their agenda. So whatever the government actions are in line with this particular promise on which the government came to power. And the second thing is, it is not a sudden step, but it was a well thought out, laid out plan which the government has initiated. Because from very elections, it has declared the fighting of black money is its objective. In this context, first, the Shah committee was appointed, and after that, to bring the money from foreign lands, the black money and imposition of tax act, the black money undisclosed foreign income and assets, and imposition of tax act has come up in 2015. According to this, the black money or else money held in the foreign assets need to be declared within 3 months by paying 60% of the tax. And then Panama Papers got leaked, and on that a multi-agency group was established. The Benami Transactions Bill was passed by the Parliament. And also India inked various information sharing agreements, and it is also with the United States, UK, etc., with regard to disclosure or with regard to the intention of knowing the foreign income and assets of the people. And double taxation avoidance agreement, it was getting revised to avoid the round tripping. So what is this round tripping? The black money through Hawala routes, it is going through these tax havens and through shell companies or suitcase companies. As investors, it is coming back into India. So this is what is called round tripping. So that's why the double taxation avoidance agreements, these are been revised with Mauritius and Cyprus. And also India became a part of multilateral agency with regard to automatic exchange of information related to the finances. And later income declaration scheme was announced. After that came the demonetization. So this is what a series of steps the government has taken to fight the ongoing black money or else ongoing demonetization. In these circumstances, and along with this, the author tries to give a solution for the previous article. So not just the demonetization, it is also increasing the digital infrastructure. So universal payment interface, every state government is bringing the e-wallets or digital wallets. All these are towards this particular initiative. Now, due diligence on safe drugs. So we don't get the question in these areas. Just remember that any action of the executive need to be taken after due diligence. It has to be procedurally and substantially right. So the banning of multi-formulation drugs. Multi-formulation means it consists of 2 or 3 drugs in one tablet. It is the major reason for the growth of drug resistance and misuse of prescriptions. So in this, what the author says is, Everywhere, the procedural and substantive elements need to be intact. The banning of these drugs, intentionally right, but procedurally how it has been taken, it was wrong. So that's why the courts have to reverse this order of banning these multi-combination drugs. And then, coming to a roadmap for the CBI. CBI is an anti-corruption investigation agency, or else its major intention is to fight corruption and other issues that are threatening the nation at large. Now, if you take at the union level, it is the only major institution that is concerned with investigation. And with regard to the lesser serious crimes, there is no other agency that exists with regard to CBI. And the second problem of CBI is it has no men of its own. It gets the men on deputation from states. And the third thing is the police is a subject in state list, and CBI has to function under CRPC. So in these circumstances, if the CBI needs any assistance from the states, it has to take their due permission, in which most of the states are not cooperative. And you all know that the CBI is also described as caged parrot. So in this context, the political pressures are very high on CBI. The lack of autonomy, political pressures, and lack of its own personnel, and lack of specific areas of functions where the crime is more interconnected, these are making the CBI as a weak institution. So in this context, a strong leadership, speedy disposal of cases, capacity building of the CBI, and providing for autonomy, all this will improve its functioning to the next level. Any institution to effectively function, a strong leadership is necessary. It makes the institution to realize its vision, and in the case of the CBI, it comes very much true. And unbuilding of our cities, you know that this is the anniversary of the Chennai floods. So in this context, let's understand the pattern of urbanization. In India, the urbanization is most unplanned, and added to that, the growth is shifting from rural to the urban areas. Urban centers are the engines of growth. And that's why the population is also growing at a much faster pace in urban areas compared to rural areas. If you take the 2011 census, the growth is highest in the urban areas for the first time. So the population growth is highest. And then it is due to a migration from the rural to urban areas. Now, where these migrants are settling, the most of their settlements are informal across the water bodies or coastal lines in these areas. And second is, there is an organized sector, organized settlements which are also encroaching these particular water bodies. So, the urban flooding is majorly due to the encroachment of the water bodies and unplanned growth. It is expected to worsen further, and vulnerabilities are bound to increase because of climate change. If 2 degrees of temperature is increased, it is expected that all the coastline of Chennai will get submerged, and this IT corridor is going to, lose from the Chennai map. So what is necessary? So if we want to fight these vulnerabilities, we need to unbuild the cities in such a way that we get back to the planned development, and the costs of climate change are going to be huge. Now, Kashmir is hidden uprising. Now, this article by Jean Rees is very much insightful. Let me say this way. The Kashmiri community, how it is able to withstand such a huge strike, such a huge shutdown, that is what is the question. So, in this case, in the among the Kashmiris, there is a large of cooperative this thing. And the supportive system exists because of the long pressures of this violence which is going on in the state. And the second, the major root cause of the problem in the Kashmir today is the alienation of the people. So why is this happening? The major reason is the excessive use of the force. Now if you talk about Armed Forces Special Powers Act, Public Safety Act, and then Section 144, all these are creating limitations on the freedoms of the people, and huge crackdown by the state, especially the armed forces, human rights violations. These are developing the alienation of the people towards Kashmiris. And added to that, Indian mindset is also generally aversive to understand the problem of the Kashmir. So, the major central thing is India need to start an engagement with the Kashmiris. The status quoism is more dangerous to the Kashmir. The simplistic construct of the Kashmiri problem as is a law and order issue, as a military struggle, or as seen as a fight between some extremists and Indian army. It's a very simplistic construct. So that's why we need to get out of these notions of the simplistic constructs and we need to take a step forward to bring back the solution. Let's see the notes. Need for a cashless economy. So, in this, Mr. Venkaiah Naidu says the government is developing the digital infrastructure in the form of unified payments interface, expansion of points of sale and ATM machines, and also unstructured supplementary services data, Aadhaar enabled payment systems. All these are been coming up. So, along with this, there is a series of steps have taken to prepare the country towards this demonetization drive. That is what is his central article. The demonetization dilemma. So here, the digital infrastructure is a prerequisite before demonetization. Added to that, public trust with regard to the cashless economy is critical. So the government should have developed that first and then move towards the demonetization. And then a roadmap for the CBI. So, a strong leadership which can resist the political pressures, autonomy to its functioning, and then bringing the police into the concurrent list and defining the sphere of action, developing another agency that can lead with day-to-day crime, and providing for necessary personnel. These are all the things that can improve the functioning of the CBI. Unbuilding our cities. The vulnerabilities of our cities is increasing because of the climate change. A planned growth is necessary. From the 11th five-year plan onwards, we have moved from rural development to the urban sprawl as the new focus. And in this context, addressing the issues of migration and providing for decongestion of these floodplains, etc., is very much necessary at this time. Kashmir is hidden uprising. Zin Rees talks about the core of the problem is not the concerns of poverty and development, it is the concerns of human rights violations and curtailment of the freedoms to the Kashmiris. And then Sagarmala project. So it is there on the business page. The Sagarmala project is supposed to interconnect network of ports on the east and western coasts in India. So the Chinese see a great investment and trade potential with the Sagarmala projects. It means there will be an alignment of maritime Silk Road and Sagarmala project of India and China. And then this is the Trump calling to Mr. Taiwan chief is also an issue. And in 1979, United States agreed for one China policy. And Mr. Trump, the President-elect Trump, calling to the Taiwan's chief and calling him as a president is a cause of concern for or an irritant for China. So these are the issues which we have discussed today. And thank you very much and all the best. And question of the day: a move towards the cashless economy or achieving jam trinity. It needs a basic issue of digital divide to be addressed. So you can have the answer from both the arguments of Venkaiah Naidu and the other arguments of the Harvard professor to align the answer. Thank you very much. All the best.